I would like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by the Dolphin Wars.
All right, let's try this again. Welcome, everyone, to King Dolphin TV. I am Raymond Feliciano, the Dolphin King, and you know who you are. Here is another book interview. Today, I have Derek Beningfield. We know him in the chat as Deef. He is the author of The Eyes of a Killer. Before we get started, let me welcome the chat. Okay, we've got our amazing wrenches, Sandra Feliciano, Legatus Legionai, and John Rendell. Welcome, guys. And I'm sure things will be under control with you guys. And then we've got, I know we don't have the music, but Snorta Poopas! Cuba. Snorta Poopas, Cuba. Welcome, Snort. And Lenrod, how are you, sir? Welcome. Hello, Andy Masterson. Wow. Already.
I just wanted to say, hey, Lavelle, how's it going?
Looks like we got at least a goodly amount of people for the beginning of this. I like to make sure that people are recognized. All right. Okay, so to the chat, please give a big King Dolphin TV welcome to Derek, and we will get started. How this works, as our interviews go, I'll ask the questions of Derek at the very beginning. For you chatters, please hold on to your questions till afterwards, because you know I'm going to be laying out to you guys any questions that you have. So please have your questions ready to go for when we got them. People, mammal, hedges, and flying space dolphins. So long and thanks for all the fish. You heading out, Legion? Legatus? Oh, you just got here. And then Andy's on the road. So he's just saying hello. Well, you be careful, buddy. And we already have trash out there. But I know our amazing wrenches will get that thing. All right, so we will get started. So you are from Canada. I see.
That's right.
Flag.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Hi, everyone. My name's Derek Beningfield. You know me as Deef, obviously. I'm just a 36-year-old from central British Columbia in Canada, and I've enjoyed writing my entire life, and I've had several stories in my head for several years that I've been working on, along with my best friend who lives in Alberta, Daniel Richard, and past couple of years, I just decided, hey, it's time to put things into gear and get everything done. So that's what I'm doing. And, well, I've written a novel, which is a follow-up to one that I've written in the past. And I'm getting it professionally done. So it should be in print in the next week or two.
Oh, great. Now, do you, I don't know, you don't have to say anything, but you obviously have a day job first.
Yes, I'm off work right now because I have an injured shoulder.
Oh.
And I'm just waiting for news on when I can have x-rays done.
Okay.
But yes, I work at a lumber manufacturing plant.
Okay. All right. Well, hope you feel better and hope it gets better so you can get back to work.
Thanks. So do I. I think it's frozen.
What the heck happened there? I think the Dominion is back. Since last Wednesday when we did the DS9 and the Dominion took over, things have been really strange. Legatus Legionii says it was a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
Okay, so you work at a plant.
Yep.
Or currently off, and you just touched on it. But what made you want to write?
That's a good question. I've always been interested in telling stories since I was a kid, or writing stories, and I don't know, just writing. I got the writing bug, and I really got involved in all those Sean Connery, James Bond movies as well back in the day, and that serves as an inspiration as well. And
okay.
Yep.
All right. And you said you have one pure novel and you have two novels, or?
Yes, I've self-published in the past a short novel titled Circle of Vengeance, which I'm going to reprint to get it done professionally, because before I just did it on a home printer. And this one, I wrote that one 10 years ago.
Okay.
And this one takes place 3 months after that one.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're both part of the same series.
Yes, these two are semi-connected. This one wasn't intended to be a sequel. Well, I should say The Eyes of a Killer was not intended to be a sequel to Circle of Vengeance. It just sort of, is it really a sequel? Is it not? There is a connection there, but it's not a direct sequel. It's an unintended sequel, I guess you could say.
Excuse me. Now, of your first one, did it go any? Were you able to sell a lot of them?
I've printed about I'd say 60, and I printed the first 30 to sell, and then I've given away about another 30 since then. But I'm going to be reprinting that, like I said, getting it professionally done, like The Eyes of a Killer, and then hopefully sell them as companion pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so your professional one is The Eyes of a Killer. Can you give us a spoiler-free synopsis? Because I know when I talk about my books, I tend to not want to spoil the fun for anybody. But so, what can you tell us about The Eyes of a Killer? And if you want, tell us about the previous one too, if they tie in. Yes,
The Eyes of a Killer ties into Circle of Vengeance, because in Circle of Vengeance it's about a notorious biker gang, a fictional biker gang, is going around killing members of the Canadian criminal justice system who target this gang specifically, and they do that to try to intimidate the government, to prevent the government from going after them, so they can basically do whatever they want. And so this fictitious organization called the Canadian Special Operations Executive, which is based on the very real British Special Operations executive from the Second World War, where operatives were trained in Canada and sent overseas as well. They send the protagonist, a character named Hawk White, to hunt the criminals down and kill them. This story takes place 3 months after that one, where the fallout of the collapse of a criminal organization has created a power vacuum, which has been filled by a new, larger, more dangerous organization, creating an unintended consequence. And they're trying to form a shadow government, and my main character, along with another character known as Sierra, are tasked with seeing that this larger organization fails in their mission.
Okay. Now, what happened to the biker gang? Are they still out there, or?
Yeah, I guess you'll have to find out.
That's why we say spoilers.
Yep.
So you said roughly how? Okay, you said you had the first one, and remind me of the title again.
The first one was Circle of Vengeance.
Okay.
So Circle of Vengeance.
Okay. How long, all told, did Circle of Vengeance take you?
Circle of Vengeance isn't a very big story. I call it a short novel, even though it's only 60 pages long, so it's short story length, but it's structured like a novel.
Mm-hmm.
That one, how long did it actually take? Well, I had a story in my mind of what Circle of Vengeance was going to be before I'd written it, about 6 or 7 years before I'd written it. And I just didn't have the... I didn't really have the details down pat until I was in university. I was doing a creative writing course, and part of that creative writing course was that our stories were going to be submitted into something called the John Harris Fiction Awards, which takes place up in Prince George every year. I don't know if it still takes place, but the parameters for that were that you had to have a story that could not exceed 60 pages. And so right away, this story, I was like, well, this is my chance to finally get my character into print. And so I set about writing that. And a series of things happened. The parameters I was told changed from 60 pages down to 20. And so I had to come up with a new story. And then I found out 2.5 weeks before the awards were due that it was back up to 60 pages. Or I had been given, I don't know what the whole thing was about that. But I was like, okay, well, I already had my story in my head, so I was going between 2 institutions and working a part-time job at the same time, and as well as studying for exams. And I just sat down and I wrote it out in 2 weeks, and I finished it about 20 minutes before I had to submit 5 copies to be reviewed. So about 2.5 weeks of just writing.
Okay. Did you win?
No. I knew I wasn't going to win, but it's good. It's kind of skeletal because of the speed that I had to write it at, but it's good.
Okay.
It's legitimately good.
Good. And then what about this novel, The Eyes of a Killer? How long did that take?
This one, I spent about 4 months planning it because at my job I work outside loading train cars. I'm either throwing cables or catching cables on top of the train cars and tightening them. So it's a job that gives me a lot of time to think. And of course, we have our own separate lunchroom there too. So during coffee breaks and lunch breaks, I'd sit there and write out my ideas. And so about 4 months of doing that. And then I took about a year off because I just didn't have the motivation. I was struggling with motivation at the time. And this past September, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do it. I'm sick and tired of waiting. It's getting done. I was on vacation at the time. I just started vacation. And so I started last week of September, and I finished middle of December 18th, just of actually writing. And that was writing every single day except for 4 days that I took off. And then it was about another 6 weeks of editing almost every day.
Okay. Now, you edited yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I've written articles in the past for, I don't really want to say. I've written articles for my local paper, and I go through it and I edit things really well because I can edit. I do have a degree. I've done lots of writing in the past, and then I submit it to editors, and then I see a bunch of spelling mistakes and grammatical errors that I did not put in there, and I can prove it because I still have the originals.
Wow.
And that then, I live in a small town literally in the middle of nowhere. So finding a professional editor I don't know, I like doing it myself. I don't mind. I just have to try to be honest with myself and not become too fixated upon things like word count.
Yeah.
Or
True.
page numbers, because page numbers, if you're out there, if anybody's ever watching this and you're out there and you're like, I wish it were longer. Page numbers are kind of arbitrary. You just play with the font, so
Yeah.
The font that I wrote it in, it was 131 pages. The
Uh-huh.
font that I submitted to them came out to 232 pages. The font that they're using comes out to 214 pages.
Oh, okay.
Or 216. One of the two.
Yeah, I did my books through Kindle, the Kindle publishing service, and I've got a love-hate relationship with them because I think they've let some things go through in my books that I know weren't there.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
but it gives me something to learn as I'm going through myself.
Well, editing, it's like I submitted my book to the printers, and it was about a week or two after, and they still hadn't gotten around to looking at it. Like, it's a pretty small operation, but it's professional. They're very professional, and I don't have YouTube up right now, but the cover's up there. I was just starting to get a little paranoid. I'm like, I better just have a second look there just to be sure. And then I found two pretty egregious errors, even though I'd read the story about 45 times.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how did I miss that? And then I had this sample draft, which on the thumbnail there, I suppose. I still went through, and when I had the sample draft in my hands, and because it's a physical copy, I found a couple of more mistakes, but fortunately, I'm pretty sure that's all of them. I've done everything I can, aside from hire an editor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so just be sure to double check, triple check, quintuple check. Always make sure to print off a physical copy before you submit it finally, because you always pick things up in a physical draft that you will miss on a computer screen.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your writing process? What's the flow of your writing, and where do you get inspiration?
I get inspired by real life events. So in Circle of Vengeance, my first story, there's the true story of the Hells Angels in Montreal, and they were led by a man named Mom Boucher. And basically what he did was make sure that every member of the Hells Angels in Montreal were committing crimes, so that the RCMP could not use individual members as informants. And so I took that and I reworked it so that instead of that, what they're actually doing is what the Gauls, which is the fictional biker gang, they are actually going out and killing members of the criminal justice system to intimidate them from going after them. And so for The Eyes of a Killer, the story that I came up with, because this is not the first, I should say as a side note, this is not the first novel that I've written titled The Eyes of a Killer, featuring these characters. this is about the 4th edition that I've written. Before it was sort of like the prelude novel, but that changed because it was leading into it is leading into a new series altogether, featuring more characters who are in the Eyes of the Killer.
Right.
But in this draft, again, no relation to the previous versions, which are all non-existent anymore. In this one, I should say I have a diploma of criminology, and so that sort of thing has always intrigued me. In this story, I like to go and watch real-life crime dramas and things like the Eastern European sex trade and all that kind of stuff, where you come across all those really wonderful people. But there's this one crime boss who's being interviewed in jail, and someone said, well, what do you do if people don't obey you? And he's like, well, no one disobeys me. No one ever disobeys me. No one ever. And I was like, that is such a great line. I have to use that. And so that was the inspiration for the main antagonist in The Eyes of Killer, who's a man named Honcho. And so I start off with real life inspiration and then turn it, fictionalize it and make it my own.
Okay.
And then I just go through and it's just a couple of key lines that you get in your head. Like, that's a really good line. Like one of the lines in The Eyes of a Killer is, it's amazing what you can do with just a couple of bullets. And so that popped in my head. One of the first things that popped in my head, one of the characters would say, like, that has to be a line in the story. And so just gradually work out bit by bit what the story is going to entail and how to make character moments and things like that, and how to make things interesting. So my process is, I spend most of the time just trying to develop a good story and trying to be honest with myself and make sure there aren't any glaring contradictions. And then the writing process, you just sit down and write until it's good.
Yeah.
I like to put on classical music on my laptop as I'm typing because it's just relaxing, and I get a whole bunch of stuff done. And keep the podcasts off. Don't listen. You can't listen to people talking. Stay away from the video games, unless you've finished for the night and you just want to sit down and play for a few minutes. But it's good to keep your mind focused on what you're doing, because if you lose focus, if you take a couple of days off, that 1 day off is going to turn into 2 days off, it's going to turn into 3 days off. Next thing you know, you're stalled and you're not getting it done. So be disciplined.
The typical writer's block.
Yep. Be disciplined. If you do come across writer's block, move on to another scene and just type.
Yeah.
You can come back to it.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've my first 3 books were, well, the first one took forever, but the second 2 came out almost immediately. This one, the stuff's here. It's just getting it onto the word processor is the problem. So what I've been just doing is when I get some downtime, I just type some, even if it's gibberish. I just put some stuff on the paper.
I'm just going to load up YouTube on the other tab here and mute it so that I can see the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. I know I got a few more questions. Now, you said you're using a small publishing company. Are they professional or?
It's a small printing company called Big Country Printers. Well, I don't know how small it is, but it's local, and yes, they're very. I've had a very good working relationship with them so far.
Okay.
Cover that I showed them the image that I wanted to use, which I had to pay a license for, and I had my own ideas for. Oh, you know what? I'll just show you.
Okay.
I had my own ideas for what the title page was going to be. And so here we go. See, I came prepared. I brought.
All right.
Oh, there we go. So that's the image. And so I was at work and I was playing with what I thought the title page was going to look like. So I drew that up after printing off the image there.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to bring that into them because they're like, okay, we'll work on the title page with you and all that. And so I went in when they said, okay, we're ready to work on the title page. And I went in after work to see them, and they already had that one done. I'm like, oh my God. I did show them this or that image prior to them working on it. So they had an idea of what I was going for.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now they're not gonna do the marketing or anything. That's still
no. I'm self-publishing. I'm paying for it all myself.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the difference between having it professionally published and self-published is that when you're having it professionally published, they're taking all the risk and they're paying the money, and you get a royalty for any books that sell. And when you're self-publishing, you just pay for it.
Yeah.
So
well, Kindle's different that way because they take everything off they handle the costs. You still get a royalty. Now, of course, author copies you pay on your own at a reduced cost. So but
I saw a question from
I think we're to that point.
Legatus. Will Circle of Vengeance be included as a booklet or be available separately? It will be available separately. Unless you email me and say that you want both.
All right, we might as well get to the questions.
Right on.
And again,
you're right. Oh, sorry. You were right to tell me to stay away from the YouTube chat, though, because it's really distracting, and it is. I have to come back to the stream.
Yeah. Now, he also asks, Legatus Legion I has always got insightful questions. Will it be available via your website or on other e-commerce, such as Amazon?
Oh, that is a really good question. See, I'm really new at this. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just wanted to write my story.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be? I don't have a website. I do. If you would like my story right now, well, first of all, it has to get printed first.
Mm-hmm.
I would say send an email to derekbeningfield@gmail.com.
All right, let me put that out there.
Yeah, so Derek. Yeah, DerekBeningfield @gmail.com. DerekBeningfield@gmail.com. There you go. There's the email address for everybody. That's I'll be using that as the business thing, I guess.
What was that?
And I have to set up e-transfer with my bank, I assume, for money transfer.
Yeah, it was.
I'm new at all this stuff.
You will learn. You will learn fast, my friend.
That's right.
You will learn fast.
Once it's all worked out, then it'll all be okay. I know everything.
I've been doing this for 2 years, not making money, not making a whole lot of money because of the bug, but got a site, got Facebook, got PayPal, Square, stuff that you never heard of before. You've got to figure out it's not just writing a book, it's a business.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I do want to get my story out there. I do want people to read it and to enjoy it. And of course, the big Hollywood deal. Of course, I would demand full creative control.
Oh yeah.
And choice over casting. It's already in my head.
I haven't gotten that far because I don't know who I want to do it. I don't want the rat. I don't want the wabbit. And I definitely don't want the eye.
No.
So I don't know who I would get it through. Legatus also comments, and you've answered this, that it's a shared universe, but not directly related.
It's the same universe. It wasn't intended to be a sequel, but the events of the first story are kind of covered in The Eyes of a Killer.
Okay.
So if you want to find out what happens in Circle of Vengeance without having to read it, I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, if you don't want to spoil the first one, Circle of Vengeance is legitimately good. I've gotten good reviews.
Okay. All right. And Legatus says the one-armed man did it wrong. I think you're in the wrong series, Legatus.
That was the six-fingered man. Yeah.
The one-eyed, one-armed, one-legged man.
Yeah.
Okay. He also comments that you are already a semi-pro when it comes to writing and editing.
I think that's very kind.
Yeah. Legatus is a pretty good critic. He's a very good critic out there.
Awesome.
I appreciate what he's done for me.
Right on.
Let's see.
The big thing about editing is you have to be really honest with yourself and know when you suck.
Yeah.
And like The Eyes of a Killer, I will say it's not perfect, but it is legitimately good, and you will be entertained. You will be entertained when you read it.
Yeah. Well, I've never looked at dolphins the same way anymore. He asks peer reviews. Did you also use them for your stories?
No. Okay. Afterwards, I got the peer review for Circle of Vengeance after it was written and published, and it was well reviewed. Not on any official sites or anything, just feedback from the people who'd read it. Circle of Vengeance, like I said, I did on basically a home printer. Not really a home printer. I did it at university because at the college, because the college was allowing the students to do free printing. So I took advantage of that, and nice. They probably put an end to that after.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah, but I just sold them in person, and I sent a few off through PDF copies through email, but I can't do that anymore for some reason. It says the files are too big, which I don't understand because they weren't too big before. I don't know what's going on with that. So
it's crazy.
Like I said, I'm getting it professionally done. There's one inconsistency from Circle of Vengeance in the old drafts that I saw at the time after I'd first printed it. I'm like, oh, geez, that's an inconsistency. I should fix that. I'm like, it's too late to fix it. I'll fix it next week or something. And 10 years later, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And it took about 30 seconds. It was literally just switching. One scene here, one scene there. It was literally just doing that to fix that. But yeah, like I said, professionally done, getting that one redone after this one, after The Eyes of the Killer is printed.
Good.
And yes.
Is there a third coming? Is there a second? Is there a sequel?
There is not a sequel to this one. Well, it's a little too soon to say there is no sequel.
Yeah, you got to see.
There is one there is another story coming.
Okay.
Following some of the characters that are featured in Circle of Vengeance and The Eyes of a Killer, and I'm co-authoring that with my best friend who lives in Alberta. Hey, Daniel. And it's not a sequel to The Eyes of a Killer, but having read The Eyes of a Killer, you will be more fulfilled when you read the next story, which I have not titled yet. And these stories have been in the works for a long time. But now, like I said, now I'm serious about it, and I'm actually getting stuff done. So it'll be a year and a half, maybe, before that one's done. But I'm working on it. developing the story, refining the story. So I'm still in pre-production on that one.
Okay. Lenrod says, and I forgot the line that you used, but Lenrod says that's a great line. I may use that. Oh, it's the
You will be entertained.
no, the one about the obedience. Is that the one with the sex trafficker saying?
Oh yes. No one disobeys me. Or no one disobeys me. Not either.
Probably that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, reminds me of Perfect Dark on the N64. Okay.
I know that game. I'm well aware of that game.
Okay. John Rendell asks, and this is a good question. I think we both can answer this. Do the copyright laws differ in Canada from the US, or are they pretty close?
I have no idea.
Well, I've done copyright research when I got All's Fair about done, and quote unquote, you could, just because you did it in the US, it's like when you do it, and I think that's even internationally, when you do it, it's yours. But if you want to cover yourself, go through the copyright, and that's what I did.
Yes,
that's what I did. I put both my books in the U.S. copyright, and
that sounds pretty similar to here. So.
Yeah, because that way, no one, it just protects your work.
Yeah.
And I've also heard of the infamous mail it to yourself, and that's good enough. I said
yes, I always email my own. That's for any other aspiring writers out there. Once you finish your story, email it to yourself immediately, and then after you finished editing it, email it to yourself again.
Mm-hmm. Or print it and mail it to yourself. Snail mail it to yourself.
Yes, and I'm also going to be keeping my first copy.
Yeah.
There are a couple of free copies going up, but they're only like my best friend who's co-authoring the next story. He's getting a free copy.
Yeah.
And the one other person is getting a free copy, but I'm not going to say who.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I get the $1,500 copy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just I've got a book signing coming up. I told you about this, but I've got a book signing coming up in April, and just had to shell out about $200 to get my stock ready to go.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
No. Even with the discounted printing costs, it's still
it's cheaper.
It's still an outlay.
That's right. Yeah, it's cheaper to print more copies than fewer. Cheaper, you get discounts the more copies you print. I'm printing 100 for now, and if they sell out, which hopefully they sell like wildfire, and then I can retire in luxury at the age of 37.
Yeah.
But no, it's
what are you thinking of charging for a book in Canadian?
I'm selling them. The ones I'm selling locally at bookstores, they're going for like $22 Canadian. I assumed that because it's been a while since I've actually purchased a novel. When I used to purchase quite a few novels, a novel used to cost $10 or $12 Canadian, and now they cost $22. So that's what the stores are putting it up for. That's what I feel that I should charge as well.
Okay.
But if you purchase them off me, you'll get a signed copy. And since I'm going to be rich and since I'm going to be super famous, you hold on to that and you'll have first edition copy.
Well, John Randall and Legatus Legion, I got copy. Yeah, most everybody in the chat has got copies. John Randall and Legatus got them through raffle I did when I hit 100 subscribers.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Let's see. Snorter Poopa says, I have much respect for anyone who manages to write a novel, much less managing to get it published. I gave up after I realized all my characters talk like me.
Well, you see, that's not so much a problem. You just have to be on. Every single character that I've created has a little bit of my qualities in them.
Yeah.
And so even the villains, you have to be honest with yourself about when you're how do I say this? You want to make sure that your characters feel like they're real people.
Mm-hmm.
And who else can you go to realize what a real person feels like? Who are you going to have a more in-depth relationship with than yourself?
Yeah.
And so you have to go into those dark places and create a real person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you see, Snort goes very much into the mauling and polar bear behavior, where mayhem and crunching of bone and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's polar bear. Polar bears eat people.
Yeah, polar bears eat people. Yeah.
This is
hello, Jill. Welcome. Glad you can make it.
No, years ago I was working as a designated first aid attendant up in Fort Nelson, which is a community in northern British Columbia, close to the border with the Northwest Territories, which is parallel to Alaska. And we're going through this area called the Pine Pass, which is just ethereally beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful areas that I've ever driven through. And I remember I was driving up, I'm like, oh, like on the side of the road, there's a winding road going downhill slightly. And I'm like, oh, I think that's a grizzly bear, because I could see the hump on its back. That's how you can tell a grizzly bear apart from a black bear. And like, I think that's a grizzly bear. It's on the side of the road, and I drove past it, and I slow right down, and I look at it, and this thing is the size of my car, and it looks up at me, and it's got a big mane-like face, and it's just eating berries. I'm like, definitely a grizzly bear, and I'm like, I'm not stopping, because a part of me wanted to take a picture. I'm like, nope, that thing's the size of my car. I'm out of here.
And I'm sure Snort knew who that. I'm sure Snort knew who that was.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Legata says, so there are special edition collector's items out there.
Ha. Well, I like to say that my upcoming version of Circle of Vengeance is well, you know how movies you have like the director's cut.
Yeah, the director's cut.
I have the author's cut, and then
yeah, where you put all the
there you go.
notes. You put
3
all
extra paragraphs.
Yeah, you put all the notes.
2 additional minutes of reading time.
Yes, and you put all the cross-offs and the cuss words that you wrote in the margin.
Yeah, the Tarantino edition.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. Legata says the next title will be The Body of an Assassin.
I'm going to write that down. That's
Make sure Legatus gets mentioning on that.
I'm going to write it down just because. Sorry. The Body of an Assassin.
And Ledrod says he should get a copy. Cool. Okay.
Yes, that would be amazing. I'm happy to sell as many as I can. Yeah. The more stories I get out there, the more I can print, the faster I can be a
retired
billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm already working on the cameo in the movie.
Hey, wait a minute. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and you've already got your goals out there. I'm just.
I got Chris Pratt and Gal Gadot as the leading.
I've got Gal Gadot as my leading lady.
Well,
she's got the accent.
One role.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd say the character she would play in The Eyes of a Killer would be different in movieverse than in bookverse. In bookverse, the character is Canadian, but was born in Israel.
Okay.
And so can mimic accents really well, but grew up. You know what? You'll have to read the story.
Yeah.
Movieverse would just be Israeli.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Bears are the coolest as long as they're not from Chicago. I buy that. Lenrod.
Yeah.
Let's see. Of course, Snort answers that if the Bears would sign real Bears, they would win more games.
Yeah.
Would there be any players left after that, Snort? And that was Uncle Frank from the mother's side of the clan.
Yep.
Oh boy, oh dear, we have gone into the Bears.
Yep.
Stay away from cousin Frank. He's a real bastard. Oh boy, oh
yeah.
dear.
We have to pause this. That was really bad.
That was bad. Yeah. They did that back in '85. Then the league changed all the rules. Huh?
Yep.
Okay. Now we go back to. Are you on other social media sites promoting the novels?
I should be, but I deleted Facebook. If I hadn't deleted Facebook, I never would have gotten my story done.
I did it. I got on Facebook after number 1. Of course, I can't figure out how to if any of my business posts are actually getting out there.
Yeah.
And so I haven't been able to figure it out. I'm actually seeing that Twitter has been very helpful, but I'm keeping a close eye on Twitter.
Yeah.
I use it primarily to communicate with people and to post the stuff out there, mainly for the channel, and sometimes and for when I have blog posts on my website. The first thing I did was get a website for the books.
Right on. Yeah, I continually have thoughts about what I'm going to do. Should I promote myself on YouTube or something like that? Maybe come out with an audiobook version and just read it myself.
Yeah.
Or have some people do voice work or something.
Well,
I had to leave Facebook because it was really affecting my mental health and all that. And it's just like, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick and tired of this. I hated it. I never even signed up for it. Lavelle, I know you're watching. You were there. Came over and they guilt tripped me. Or was he there? I can't remember. It was at my old house. But they were like, oh, you have to sign up for Facebook. And, oh, yeah, you can talk to us. I'm like, but I can talk to you with email. Oh, yeah, but this is better than email. It's like email plus or whatever they said. And so they signed me up. And then I hated it and hated it and hated it and never left for the sake of like 2 or 3 people. And then after just 2020 or 2021. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it was 2020, September 2020. I decided enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Gone.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gotten rid of it, like I said, The Eyes of a Killer never would have been written.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I probably should work on.
Yeah, because since you're doing your own marketing, it's gonna be
That's right.
That's right. It's gonna be tough. Lenrod says, just set everyone to not follow and only use the marketplace. That's what I do. Okay, that's some good advice. All right, keep the questions coming, people, even if they're comments. We have again, for those that have just come, we've got Derek Beningfield. He's got a spy crime novel called The Eyes of a Killer. And make sure that you go and look into it.
That's right.
Now, you're probably going to get a lot of sales up in Canada, but then we've got that border and the cost.
Yeah.
The
I
shipping
should
costs.
say my stories take place. Circle of Vengeance and The Eyes of a Killer take place in 2012 because that's when Circle of Vengeance was written, and they move on further after that, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, they're not political stories. Politics doesn't really play a role in it. I should, just for the sake of the universe, because I don't really go into it in the stories at all. It's, in terms of the type of government they have, it's very center right, center left, moderate in that kind of area type of government that doesn't. I don't want to talk about real life politics here, but it takes place in a very sane universe. Yes.
Yeah, I stay away from that as well.
Yes, and it's just politics might eventually play a role at some point as an overarching thing, but it's never. I don't foresee it becoming any major thing aside from maybe a remark from a character here or there.
Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of my stories and the series that I'm working on with my friend, at least from my perspective, there are not a lot of Canadian crime stories out there. There are not a lot of Canadian. There's no real stories that I wanted to read that featured Canadians, and so
when your only major police,
right? So
when your only major police force is the RCMP, that kind of limits you.
Well, you have the Ontario Provincial Police.
Yeah.
Alberta's working on getting a new police force of their own too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Legatus says, how much is a signed copy worth?
That'll be the same. Yeah. If you for now, we'll see. I'm not charging any more right now for a signed copy.
Yeah. Okay.
That's your benefit. That's your benefit. You're like,
that's what I tell.
Anymore, and I'm gonna be able to turn. It'll be worth $1 million one day.
Yeah, that's what I tell you.
The rate of inflation that will be very soon.
Yeah. Be happy I'm signing him at this rate.
That's right. That's right.
Will they all be signed?
When I'm rich, I'll be charging money for them.
Will all of them be signed, or are you just gonna do a signature? Have you figured that out yet?
I haven't figured that out. If you send me an email and say, can you please sign your name in it, like my personal name, yeah, I'll sign it. If you don't want it, I won't.
Okay.
The ones that are going in store shelves here in town, because I've spoken to a couple places that are willing to sell so far, and they're not getting a signature on them.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I'd be afraid that they'd just forge my signature.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Same, so definitely not ours. Okay.
Yeah. It's very, very much the politics of Canada 2012. Not where the Prime Minister is mentioned in Circle of Vengeance, but he's not named. And of course, back then, Stephen Harper was our Prime Minister, but in this universe, it's not Stephen Harper. It's like Stephen Harper, center right, center left. Even though Stephen Harper is center right, but you just in that area. Yeah.
Politics is a good topic to avoid.
Yes. Poly equals many, and ticks equals blood-sucking parasites.
Yes. John Randall asks if you've had any influence from books like Tinker Tailor, Soldier Spy, or Smiley's People.
No. My inspiration were James Bond movies and Jason Bourne. And a couple of other things that I can't really remember. But like I said, a large part is ideas that really happened. For example, the Canadian Special Operations Executive, which is a fictitious organization that I just made up. It's being based on the Special Operations Executive from the Second World War. So in my stories universe, in real life, I should say, the Special Operations Executive was disbanded in 1948 because there was no longer any need for it.
Right.
In my universe,
they continue.
Even though the Special Operations Executive disbanded in 1948, the entrance into the Cold War, the Canadian government foresaw a need like the Special Operations Executive to continue to exist, and so they formed the Canadian Special Operations Executive.
Okay.
And my mom, she grew up in Oshawa, Ontario, which is where Camp X was, which is where these Canadian spies were being trained to be deployed over in Europe. And even when she was a little girl, she told me one time that she was told by other people, like, you can't go over there. They'll shoot you if you go over there, right? And of course, nowadays, Camp X is known as Intrepid Park.
Okay.
Just real life inspiration, some movie inspiration. I've read a couple of spy novels, but I don't know. I was never really interested in those ones. I was always more interested in my own universe and creating characters who are interesting and that you can invest yourself in.
Yeah. So true. So true. Of course, my universe is a couple hundred years in the future.
Oh, right on.
Let's see. Lanrod says his signature is easy to forge, completely unreadable.
Yep, it's just a line.
That's mine too. 3 scribbles.
Yeah, a couple of X's in there. Yeah.
Legatus Legionise says in the bookstores it would defeat the purpose of a book signing if they were already signed, I guess.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
And then he says, are you in the medical field where they are in a course of unintelligible writing?
Oh, I used to have an industrial first aid, or what we call an occupational first aid ticket. It's expired. I just haven't made time to renew it, but I had one for 7 years.
Okay.
But I no longer do it. So.
All right. And then Lenron says just left-handed. Yeah, poor lefties.
Yeah.
I used to be a lefty, but then I went to Catholic school and they beat that out of me.
I used to substitute teach at a Catholic school for a semester. Yeah. I do not have an education training. I was an emergency substitute. There's an interesting story behind that, but I was good at it, but I don't want to be a school teacher. So
no.
I didn't have a good time in school.
Yeah.
I had good grades, but I didn't really get along with my teachers all that much.
Yeah. My 2 lessons that I learned out of Catholic school is don't be left-handed and never take piano lessons from a nun.
Well, you see, I was speaking to a teacher, and when I hold a pen like this with 3 fingers. And that's how I do my writing. And I came across a teacher, and she was, when I was converting to Catholicism in 2009, there was one of the ladies there was one of the teachers, and I showed her how I hold a pen, and she's like, oh, I would have beaten that out of you, basically said. I'm like, it doesn't make any difference how you hold a pen as long as it's legible.
Yeah.
And I have very beautiful printing.
Mine's scribbly.
But when I hold it in my left hand, I hold it the way you're supposed to.
Okay.
And to prove that this way is superior, when I write this way, it comes out legible. But when I write with the left hand, it's not legible. So there you go.
Gotcha. Snorter Poopa says, I think it works better to have fictional organizations. I agree.
Yes.
You can base them on real world models, but feel free to invent things that fit the story rather than deal with, come on, the RCMP wouldn't do that. Yes.
That's exactly right. And there are things that the CSOE, which pronounced CISO because CSIS, the Canadian Security and Intelligence Service, which is our basically CIA. In Canada, we just pronounce it like CSIS, or
Mhm.
we have the Canadian Special Operations Regiment, which is a special forces unit. They're CSOR and all that. So CSO would be CISO. They do things that me, not really supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
So,
my secret in my universe, I made it a very simple acronym, and I guess I can spoil just one little thing. The agency is called SPINS, for Special Intelligence Service.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I made it simple,
Yep.
easy to understand,
Yep.
and so.
I should also note that my protagonist is a Canadian sniper. So,
Oh, cool! Snipers are cool.
yes, that's one thing everybody knows. The Canadians. I always say Canadians are so polite, and they have really good snipers. So you have to have a Canadian sniper as a protagonist.
Okay. Legatus.
And it's also got a very beautiful woman.
Oh, of course, of course.
But she's not. She's not a Hollywood. She's not Hollywoodized. She's a really good character, and I think people will like the character very much.
Oh, cool. Legatus asks, what are the dimensions of the book? Paperback, trade, or hardcover?
Paperback.
Paperback. Okay.
I'm a paperback writer.
Let's see. Yes, Spins.
Spins.
Legatus says a short version of Spectre. Only I know.
Special. Well, I almost said special tactics and reconnaissance, but that's Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Special executive for counter-terrorism.
Yeah. Let's see. Legatus says, got to get rid of all those got to get all the prairie dogs.
Yep.
There's one for you. Snorter Pooper suggests, feel free to use bears. Battle enhanced. Arctic reconnaissance.
We already have those in the Canadian Army.
Yeah. And
we don't need to worry about the Russians. We got polar bears up there.
Yeah. Their motto is, we eat
walruses.
Seals. I like the motto. We eat seals for breakfast.
Yep.
That's good, Snort.
Yeah, that's right.
That gets mini Snort.
Yeah. I'm gonna write
Yay!
that.
Yay!
That's what we should have called JTF2 instead.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Instead of Joint Task Force 2, you got bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that gets a mini Snort and a couple of char salmon.
Yep.
Toss the bear, char salmon.
Yep. But I should. I don't know if I answered the question before, but when was it Legatus who? Legatus who said better to have fictional organizations, like the real.
No, that was Snort.
Okay, Snort.
That was Snort.
The real organizations do exist. This one just is a secret one that.
Of course.
The Canadian Special Operations Executive is Canada's best kept secret. So like the CIA knows about it, or MI6 know about it, but the public don't know about it, and even most people in the government don't know about it because they're
Legatus says, "Are you planning?"
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Are you planning on shipping regionally, just in Canada, or all of North America?
Right now, I'm just doing things locally in my town. Hopefully, I'll go further out than that. And if people email me, I will definitely send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
I have to figure out how to set up all that stuff with my bank and the e-transfer or PayPal.
Well, I will warn you, Canadian shipping. I mean, shipping to Canada is not cheap. So I imagine shipping in the other way around is probably just as bad.
Yeah.
In fact, one person, I don't know if she got it through Kindle, but I told her I'd send her a hard copy, but this is how much it's going to cost. She said, nah. So I said, she said she got it through the ebook through Kindle.
Mhm.
If you ever need information on Kindle, please let me know, and maybe
right
we
on.
can.
I don't even know what Kindle is. I'll show everybody. Everybody's like, "Oh, what is it?"
It's run
Here
via.
is my phone. It's a flip phone. I do not have an iPhone. Laval, I know you're watching. He's from Calgary. He's my second best friend, but he comes every summer, and he always makes fun of me
Makes
'cause
fun of your book.
I
Makes
don't
fun
have
of
it. I'm
your.
like, I'm gonna be the last holdout in the world. The only thing I wish this thing did, the only thing that disappoints me is that it doesn't go when I pop it open. Make the Star Trek sound.
Well, there's a Bluetooth Star Trek communicator.
Yes.
You just gotta
Yeah,
pay
I know about that.
an arm and 2 legs for
I
it.
only found out what Bluetooth was about 9 months ago. So
Yes.
I'm like, oh, you got a Bluetooth speaker. I'm like, well, work was handing them out at the Christmas party a year and a half ago or whatever it was. It's like, oh, they're handing out free Bluetooth speakers. Like, what the hell's Bluetooth?
That's what happens when you drink a lot of blueberry soda.
That eat lots of blueberries. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Lenrod says international shipping is rough no matter where you go with it. Oh, yeah.
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 I will soon find out.
Mhm.
The only thing I've really emailed internationally I've mailed internationally are a couple of copies of Circle of Vengeance, which I mailed to my couple of American friends on my Xbox Live friends list, and I sent a copy to Doomcock as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Doomcock's getting a free copy.
Ooh.
Yes, he's the other one. Laval, you might get a free copy. You have to come visit, and I'll whip your butt again in Battle Group Command and Conquer.
Yes, if Lavelle's watching, make sure he's hitting the like button. And if he hasn't subscribed to King Dolphin TV, please subscribe.
Hit that like button and
Hit
subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
And remember,
and if you don't, there are people coming for you.
Yeah. And remember, this
like polar bears.
This interview was brought to you by the DolphinWars.com. Okay, Legatus. Oh, Snort says he thought Bluetooth was a dental issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legatus says he still uses the flip phone, which he calls as his communicator, and it is not one of those smart slip phones. What the heck is a smart slip phone?
I have to, I don't trust those things. And first of all, I know, I hate seeing the phone zombies when they're walking around downtown and they're all got their heads down, clicking away like that, not watching where they're going. And I don't know what it is, or someone sits down across from you and they start a conversation with you, and then right away they're on their phone, and I find that so disrespectful. And I know that
you want to bop them.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. I was dating this woman in university a woman from Switzerland, and very first date, first thing she did, whenever I sat down with her, whenever I spoke to her or see her in the hallway or whatever, the very first thing she did is turn off her phone. I'm like, I really like this girl. Then she had to move back to Switzerland, but yeah. Hi, Marion.
Such a shame. John Randall says, I used to ship 1 pound salt samples to Canada when I worked for Axel Salt in the 90s. Their customs were vicious. They thought they were the other kind of Coke. All you gotta do is taste the.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I just want to say I'm a Canadian. I love America. I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for the United States. My grandfather was captured in World War II by the Japanese at the Battle of Hong Kong, and he was liberated by U.S. Marines from Kobe prison camp. So I love the United States, and I don't like when people dump all over it. So
good.
And I'm a patriot. I love my country. I think Canada's the greatest country in the world. And I hope that if freedom dies, that it's that a Canadian and American are standing side by side, fighting to the last breath. So that's where I stand.
Okay, I agree with you, and that is the only politics that we'll mention here. And
That's right.
yeah, we stay away from politics, but
That's
I
right.
agree with you totally.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, John Randall says he wishes he had a flip phone,
Yeah,
no
that's right.
butt dialing or other
That's right.
problems.
Yeah, because the only problem I have with this is when people, Laval, I'm talking to you. he send me. I'll sit there. He'll send me a message, and I'll okay, A B C D E F G H D F G H
Yeah.
I. It takes me
Yeah.
forever to write anything. So it's the only
Let's
problem
see.
I have with it.
So true. So true, Snort. I will never understand why people will pay $12 to $12. That's on the cheap side. $12 to see a movie and sit there playing on their phones. I can do that at home for free. Yeah.
Now Laval's sending me a bunch of text messages. You're doing that on purpose. I know it.
Hey, at least we know he's watching.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. That's what we say. Yes. So at least we know Lavelle is watching, and make sure he subscribes and
hit that like button.
Yes, hit that like button.
Yeah.
Or
it's like, you can't tell me what to do.
Hey, I have mini Snort, and I know what to do with him.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Yes. Mini
It's all a
Snort
little
is on
backwards.
the watch.
It's not really like looking in a mirror.
Yeah. Yes. Let's see. John Rendell says, God bless him.
Thank you.
And Canada and Midwest US are the same kind of peeps. Yep, I'll buy that.
That's right.
Sandra says she got a smartphone when she started flying and teaching. There's just so much functionality for the information I need to fly. It's almost not an option.
Yes, I understand that. Yep.
Yeah.
They do have their advantages. It's just I don't know if I could manage the discipline to not turn into a zombie.
Yeah.
So better to stay away from it for me.
That's true.
Same reason I'm off Facebook. I never would have gotten my book done if I had that in my hands. It's bad enough I have my laptop.
Snort says he thinks the recent events, which will be referred to as recent events, will help Canadians and Americans realize that we have many things in common and we need each other. So
well,
true,
I mean,
buddy.
And this isn't even a political statement, but Canada and the original settlers of Canada and the United States, they came here for exactly the same reason. They were family members, They were escaping the same thing. They left the aristocracy behind, and they built the Canadians and what became Canada and the Americans built a better life for themselves than what they came from. Two freest countries in the history of the world.
Yep, so true. Let's see. Jill asks, can you do T9 texting on that phone? It makes texting on a flip phone with buttons faster.
I don't even know what that is.
Jill, we're going to need some technical lessons on it.
It's like, but he asked me all these questions. Don't ask me anything about computers.
I told you this chat is very intelligent.
Yeah.
Very insightful, but the questions they have are just amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
Of course, I don't know how we got into a smartphone in a book interview.
Yeah.
I got a smartphone because it was the cheapest new phone I could get when I moved into a new town, no service.
Well, this phone is an upgrade. This phone is an upgrade to the one that I had, which wasn't a flip phone. It just had the numbers on it. I used that until it would no longer charge. And so I had to get this one. I got this in 2013, and it's still going. So I will get a smartphone when I have no other choice. Because I do need a phone for work.
Yeah.
And no one ever calls me anyway, except for a couple of times.
Yeah. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Jill.
I spend so much time on a desktop with internet. I have no need for portable internet. My flip phone is for emergencies and when I must call someone to make appointments with doctors and dentists. Good idea.
Well, don't call me on the phone.
Lavelle?
I'm doing a live stream.
Yeah.
Sign in to your YouTube properly. Join the chat.
Yeah. John Rendell. James.
Yeah, and I did hang up on you, Lavelle. I did hang up on you on purpose.
John Rendell says, James Doohan, William Shatner, and many other great entertainers from Canada. We forgive you for Bryan Adams, though. I like Bryan Adams. Of course, he was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, I've heard the name, but I don't even. I have never listened to any of his songs. I don't know what he looks like. But everybody in the chat here will know who Derek Beningfield is.
Yes.
You'll see me in you'll see my cameo in the movie.
Yes.
I figured I'd be holding a copy of the book in the background.
Of course.
Of course. The title would be covered up. You just see the title page without the title.
Jill says, if the phone doesn't have T9, you don't have it, I guess. Oh, well. Legata says, who? Us. And Basil's here. Hey, Basil. Basil.
The pumpkin seagull.
Yes. Hold on.
I will see you on Friday, Basil.
Yes.
Oh my God, it is Basil the pumpkin seagull.
Yes.
Hail, Basil.
Nice of you to show up, buddy. Yes, rejoice. A seagull has joined the chat. Yes. So now we've got a dolphin, a bear, a dog in the background. Actually, two dogs. You got a dog over there.
Yes. Molly, come here.
And a seagull.
You want to say hi? Come here. Come here. Come on. Oh, ow. My shoulder. Here we go.
Oh, what's her name?
Molly.
Hello. Okay. Hello, Molly.
Hey, Molly. Want to say hi? Here you go.
Hello, Molly. Welcome to King Dolphin TV. Oh yes, and ferrets, Snort. Can't forget ferrets.
No, I think she has to go to the. I think she has to go to the bathroom.
Uh-oh.
You mind if I come back in in a minute?
Sure.
Okay, right on.
No.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's continue with the comments. Speaking of phone and not so smartphones, will there be a Kindle? We'll ask. We'll ask him when he gets back, but I think he may have answered that. Legatus Legion and I shipped them to the U.S. just because we could. Yeah. Okay, welcome back.
Hear me now?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, I might have to take off again for a minute when she wants back inside.
Okay, well, we're about ready to wrap things up anyway.
Okay.
Snort, and we talked about this. Speaking of phone and not so smartphones, will there be a Kindle version? And we did talk about this. Once we learn you how to do Kindle, we'll get you on there.
Right on. Yes, I would one day like to get my story out to as many people as possible.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Talking about yes, and yes, we've got ferrets around. They're upstairs sleeping. Doggy, yeah, we got 2 doggies.
Hello, John Rendell. I recognize your name.
Yep. Yeah. And Basil says you can get a smartphone that can be easily routed, and then install Copperhead OS on it. Okay. Yes, I remember when phones had dials and cameras had film.
Yep, I remember we used to have a dial phone too.
Yeah. I remember developing film, and oh my god, that's a messy. I don't miss.
When I was 2 years old, we had so much snow in our. We grew up in a house in the middle of nowhere, and really high elevation. We had so much snow that my brother, who's 5 years older than me, 4.5 years older, he dug a tunnel underneath the snow, and he had an extension cord and carpet, and put the old black and white TV in there. It was that was 1989, 1987, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Legatus asks. Legatus asks, what's the tentative release date?
Tentative release date. Right now, it's looking like a week and a half. I'm going in tomorrow to look at the final draft copy. I had a physical copy in my hands that I showed to RN Feliciano here, and I noted some errors that I found, or some things that I wanted changed, like font size in terms of chapters, and that sort of thing. And so they're making those changes, which they're going to show to me. It's done actually today, and I'm going in tomorrow morning to have a look at it, and then after that it will be printed. So about a week and a half, that's when it should be ready.
Good. John Rendell says, yay, I'm somebody. Someday I'll know who.
Yes.
And Basil says, the point in running a custom OS on a phone is to lock down the security so your phone isn't giving away your private data. Okay.
Those things are a whole story of themselves.
Yeah. John Rendell loved developing film, fun with chemicals. Yeah, I thought it was just too messy.
Yeah.
Sandra's stepping out. She's got to go on another phone call. So I will see you after we're done here, babe. Anti-derivative Jill says, you are. We like you too. Yes, we do, John Rendell.
Yes,
we do.
And hail Doomcock.
Hail Doomcock. Hail Doomcock. John Rendell, Snorter Poopa says, I wanted to be somebody when I grew up. It should have been more. I should have been more specific. Yeah, I told you.
When I was a kid, my mom asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said I wanted to be an adult, because then nobody could tell me what to do. And here I am, and I still get told what to do. That's true. All right. Well, we've gone for about an hour and a half. This was great. Great, Derek. This is probably the first of hopefully many interviews for you. Thank you. Yes, it was a lot of fun. I was really nervous when I came on. I feel like I've settled down a little bit, and I just want to say thank you for
you're welcome.
Giving me the opportunity, and I want to thank the chat for showing up.
Yes, and let me again. His book is The Eyes of a Killer. Let me see if I can pull it up. It takes a few minutes here because of StreamYards. Or do you have a copy of do you have the final copy rather than me?
No, I don't have.
Okay. Give me it then. If the chat will bear with me, I will.
Yeah. And you can show, if you want, you can show the back cover too. 'Cause it gives the synopsis. That's basically.
Okay, let me see.
That's a spoiler-free review of what's going on.
All right, let's see here.
I do have a little bit of character artwork too here, but I don't know.
Okay, window. Let's go here. No, let's go here. Share.
It was very important for me to be able to choose my own title page.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and oh, there it is. I see it. Over to the left too.
All right, there it is. There is the book, The Eyes of a Killer, a novel by Derek Beningfield. That is the cover. And everybody, if you want to find out more about it, just email the let's see, is here. I'm going to put email Derek Benning. It's one N, right?
Yes, Bening. Same amount of letters as Mickey Mouse.
Okay. And gmail.com. So if you want to find out more about his book, please go to his email address and contact him. Let's see. So let's see, anything else? Okay. Hopefully, Sandra will unlock the door so we can get out. Sandra. Oh no, we're locked in. Oh dear. John Rendell says, raid the refrigerator. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Jill, what is that a kitty? No, it's a little bear. A little teddy bear. Aw, it's nice. Okay, so well, again, thank you very much for coming, and again, I wish you a lot of luck on your book.
Thank you.
You are entering a whole new world of self-promotion, and it's going to be fun for you. So I wish you the best of luck. And maybe one day we'll both be in Millionaires Row.
Yes, I'll find a cameo appearance for you in my movie as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna do show notes, and But before we do show notes, I want to give you the update on Jamie Lee. For those who don't know, Jamie Lee is part of Beth Ambrosia's Bunny Trail Rescue. She had a bacterial infection in her eye. They're trying to get surgery for the eye to save the eye. And yeah, Sandra's Cookies anti-derivative gel. Yeah, they're nummy. They're nummy. Yum, yum, yum. So they're trying to raise funds for it. Currently, they're still holding at $1,500. They need about $5,000 for the surgery. So again, if you haven't been able to or can't donate, please pass the word out. I will put that out there. Pass the word and get it out there so we can get that cute little one her eye surgery. And let's see. Snort says, take care of every human, dolphin, doggy, ferret, and seagull. Yes. Well, you can't go yet, Snort. We still got to do the adioses. So, show notes. Next week, we're going to have Nick Weiser on. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser coming on, telling us about his channel, what he does, and all the stuff he does with food. Some of it's cool. Some of it I'm kind of worried about. On the 23rd, Griselli K, a friend of mine, she's an author too. She will come on and talk about her books, the VAC Chronicles. And on the 31st, which is a Thursday, we're not going to do a Wednesday because she's not available. We're going to be doing an interview with Tina Richardson at Protection for Paws. They provide protective wear for police working dogs, which I think is a great.
That's a great idea.
It's a great idea, and also we will be, as usual, we'll be doing our Just Cousins on Saturdays at 5 p.m. We'll have nutty news. People come on, join the panel. We'll have mayhem. We'll have hedgehogs, etc. It's a fun time. I am in negotiations with Sandra. She's going to be out of town, but on the Just Cousins for March 19th and the 27th, we may have Sandra as our roving reporter out in Texas, so we can get a special report about her adventures in Texas. Again, I'm on negotiations with that since she's not overly fond of coming on live. So we'll see what happens there. So it's still a busy month, and we're going to have lots of fun and lots of interviews, and it's going to be a great time. Again, if you like what we're doing here at King Dolphin TV, please hit the like button, press the subscribe button and the notification button, and just show your support to the channel. We're small, but we're mighty, and we're working on getting mightier. So now it's time to say goodbye to you wonderful people in the chat. Again, my favorite wrenches, Sandra Feliciano. Again, she had to leave. She had a conference call. Legatus Legionai, opening up the door, locking up the door, but not raiding the refrigerator. And always great to have your amazing insights on any subject we have. It's amazing. We have John Rendell, the other wrench. And thank you, John. So good to have you here. And again, great having you here. And thanks for helping out with the wrenching. We got Andy Masterson. Thank you for stopping by. Glad to have you. Lenrod, glad you were here. Let's see. There's some comments going on. Legatus Legionai has a special for Just Cuz, Immutable Laws. Come on Saturday to find out more. I'll be interested in that one. And, of course, nutty news. All the news that you definitely want to hear about. Yeah, you gotta hear that segment. It's really it's gotten a life of its own. Nutty
right
news. and it's a great escape from the real stuff.
Right on.
Let's see. We've got who else? Anti-Derivative Jill, the another one of our amazing wrenches, and she and I are doing the discussing Deep Space Nine on once a month, and we've got a special project that'll be coming up soon. And Jill, put your channel out there. So she has a channel where they're doing reviews of the Orville and other pop culture things. We have Basil, the Pumpin' Seagull. Thank you for coming, my friend. Yes. Legatus Legionai says, we had a fun time with all the Wendy news headlines. And there is Jill's there is Jill's channel. So subscribe to Anti-Derivative Jill. She has some great things going on. She's currently doing the Orville reviews to prep us for the next season. That'll be coming out soon, hopefully. And let's see. Oh, am I forgetting somebody? It doesn't sound. It's not the same thing without Pudgy's music. Snorter Poopus! Cuba. Yes, Snorter Poopus. You have a good night, sir. So, everybody, I am so glad you all came. And again, let's say goodbye to Derek. It was a great interview, and we'll see you on the cameo of your movie.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, wait. Basil says, remember the erg is supposed to represent a seagull screeching, then flexing his biceps like a Mr. Olympia contestant. All right, everybody, you have a good night. Stay safe. See you Saturday. And, I forgot one thing. I'll be doing, I know most of you are probably not going to be able to make it, but wish us luck. Finally, after all the delays of the having to do with the bugs, I'm getting a book signing coming up next month, April 9th. It'll be in Charlestown, West Virginia. If you come down to West Virginia, you can come and meet me and get a signed book. If you aren't in the area, you could just say hi, and I may even do a video of the event and put it on the Just Cuz that evening. So I'm looking forward to it. It's finally time to get my books out there. So everybody, you have a good night. Stay safe. See you Saturday, and let's make some waves.
Good night, everybody.
This segment is brought to you by thedolphinwars.com.
That was good.